Right, hello and welcome to AmmyMMA Media episode 4 with Jake Stark, amateur MMA fighter, now soon to be professional. Jake, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I appreciate the time. I've not spoke to you before, so I'm sort of really want to jump in the deep end really and ask you, how did you get started in MMA and when did you get started?
Uh, well, basically, I've always liked combat sports. I've always watched it. I mean, I did karate and all little martial arts when I was younger. Um, I went through a bad breakup, and I started drinking a lot, doing drugs occasionally, and I just said to myself, "Look, this it's not me. So I need something to put my energy into." And as daft as it sounds, when all the hype were coming about with Conor McGregor and everything like that, and I was watching it more. I mean, I'd always watched it, but the more I watched it and I was getting into it, I thought, I wouldn't mind having a go at that. So I went straight down to the gym. I didn't have I'll pay for this session and see how I get on. I just signed up for the month, just cracked on with it, and I've been there since. I've not stopped.
Was it an instant click? And also, how did you find your gym? Was it just you just knew it from the area, or did you do much research into it?
I knew about it because when I was younger, I did a bit of weightlifting, and the gym I went to, the club I'm at now, they actually had a little room above the gym. So I always knew about the club, and I knew people who trained there, and it's the best in area, mate. Like, there's no better in my area than that club. So yeah, it was a no-brainer to go there, and I've not looked back since.
What year did you start doing MMA then, like properly? Would you say, like, seriously?
Um, do maybe 216, maybe about five, yeah, about 6 years, something. I think this will be my 6th year. I think,
Wow.
or maybe my 5th year. I'm not sure.
Oh, brilliant. And when you first started, obviously, the sport and learning all these different like combats, karate, kickboxing, boxing, what aspect of MMA fascinated you most?
Wrestling. The, it's one of them disciplines where you can just break somebody's will. You can, if you're a good wrestler, you can dictate the fight. You can I mean, through experience myself of being grappled, of being wrestled to exhaustion, it's tough. It's not just physical wrestling, it's mental as well. Like, you need to be able to push through that threshold to keep going, not giving up. And I love that. I think it's brilliant.
You see these days, the wrestlers, you look at all the champions, a lot of them do have wrestling backgrounds. All the wrestlers
Yeah, they've
themselves,
got a
like two
good pedigree.
exceptions.
A good wrestling pedigree. That's what I mean. They're that stronger wrestlers that they can now focus on the striking, and that's always their backup plan. Like, a lot of these wrestlers are turned. I mean, look at Usman. He's a fantastic wrestler. Now he's knocking people out. You know what I mean? So it's one of them you can build on.
Yeah. I seen in your interview with Fisticuffs, you're talking about that you want to start building on your wrestling a bit more, focus on your wrestling a bit more. Early on in some of your fights, I think it's maybe fair to say you was a bit more of a striker. Where did that change go from then sort of being a bit of a, not a brawler in a sense, but sort of a striker on the feet, then to like an all round martial artist into a wrestler?
I just got better at grappling. I just felt more comfortable being in them sort of positions. Whereas before, like you say, I'd like to keep it standing because I'd be a bit, well, what if I shoot for this takedown, I don't get it, and I'm in bottom position? I was all right at it, but I wasn't confident in it. Whereas now, I'm not afraid to shoot in on somebody. I'm not afraid to, if I mess up, I'm on my back and scramble back to my feet. I'm quite happy to do it all now. So that's where that bit of freedom comes from.
Brilliant. When was your first actual fight? Because obviously Tapology has you 2017 against Max. Is that correct? Was that your first fight?
Well, I had one at my club. My club puts they do a like a charity event each year. The one they're doing now is called Berserker, and they raise money for Parkinson's. So when I first did one, I fought a guy from our club. Now, he'd had plenty of amateur experience before me. So obviously going into that fight, he's as an expert. I think he'd had like 10 fights. That was my first fight. And I beat him. And then I went on to fight. Do you know George Caruana?
Not too sure now.
No. Yeah, it's a battle arena fighter. Well, on my Tapology, they spelled my name wrong. So I've actually got like 2 Tapologies. So I fought George, then I fought Max. And then that's where that run comes from.
Okay, I'll have a look at that later. With that first like interclub against your teammate, how is that what sort of the rules are that? I'm interested to know. Is it like, can you go for like knockouts and stuff, or is it hard, just basically hard sparring and such? Is it knockouts as well?
No,
Yeah,
it's basically an amateur fight.
Okay.
It's basically an amateur fight. It was tough because the guy I had to fight, him and his brother, I became quite close with them when I very first started. So after classes, they'd stay behind for an hour and help me out on different things I weren't quite getting or extra sparring. So then when it come to, oh yeah, I've got to fight you now, it was like, oh, you know what I mean? Because I really liked the guy. I really did. Him and his brother, Jake Gilbert and Keith. I really got on with him. I really like them. So it were a bit in a way, but it just, I needed to beat him to progress. So that's, you know what I mean?
How does that work then in sort of like the gym aspect? Do they separate the training off and the guys who are fighting each other won't train together at the same time? How does that work?
Yeah, so basically what you do, we'll get 2 coaches one side, 2 coaches the other side, red and blue team. And you'll basically, the coaches will pick who they want on their team, like an Ultimate Fighter kind of thing. But then you'll just separate the gym. So blue team will go one side, red team will go the other, and you just work on your own things.
That's pretty cool to be fair.
It's really good. I mean, watching it now, now I'm not doing it, because sometimes I help out. So to see it, like from an outside view, it's quite cool. It's pretty good.
That does sound cool. That really does sound like proper Ultimate Fighter vibes. What was the sort of the first main thing you learned from doing your first fight? Obviously, getting the win and having that first experience in the cage.
Realising I'm tougher than I actually think I am, because I got it with a couple of pretty good shots, whereas because I'd never really had a fight in that kind of environment, it was like, oh, what if I get hit and I get knocked out? Or, do you know what I mean? So I took a lot of good shots in the first round, and then the second round, I just come out and annihilated him. So it made me realise I'm a lot tougher mentally than I thought I was.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it, when you start to realise you're not made of glass, because it can be dangerous as well, but it can also be very great for yourself as well, because you can gain confidence, or you can gain a bit too much confidence, and it's trying to find that balance.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly.
And I've seen on your social media, you talking about the transition from welterweight, lightweight, featherweight, and bantamweight. And I thought that was really cool. Can you just talk to me about that transition over the years that you've had in weight?
Well, it was just basically, I started off, when I started off, I was overweight for the size I am. So naturally, the weight just started dropping off. So the first fight, I was a welterweight. You didn't have to cut weight. You just fought around. They matched guys up who were around the same weight. So there was no pressure on cutting weight. My first amateur, again, training got upped. So I naturally lost weight. Again for featherweight. And then I thought, you know what, I'm actually at featherweight, I wasn't cutting weight. And it was getting more competitive, because on Battle Arena now, the weigh-ins are a day before. So you've got that leeway to cut a bit of water. So I cut down to bantamweight, see how I feel. And I felt brilliant. And now, when I first joined bantamweight, I was quite skinny. Like, I was shredded, but I was muscular, but I wasn't built, if that makes sense. Whereas now I've grown into my frame. Like during lockdown, I've been lifting a bit more. So I've built into that bantamweight frame now, so I can be I'm really strong at that weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I grapple with, bloody hell, anything from 75 to 100 kilo lads in the gym, and I can hold my own. So I'm more than happy to stop at this weight.
That's brilliant. I mean, how is the cut itself? Honestly, like, do you struggle sometimes with it? Will it get harder as you get older? Obviously, you're still a young guy. Will it get harder?
I mean, naturally, I imagine it will get tougher as I get older. But at the minute, no, it's not a struggle at all. I'll get down to what, 65, 64, and then I'll start on the Monday, obviously till the Friday on weigh, and I do it not in a rush. I'll cut it over 4 or 5 days, and no, it's easy. I mean, one of my weigh-ins on the Thursday night, I'm eating bags of popcorn. But do you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it's
I mean,
not tough, mate. If you're disciplined, it's not tough. That's the hard bit about it. If you, in my opinion, if you say 8 weeks out, I'm going to make this weight, then you start at that 8 weeks. You be disciplined. You show respect, not just to yourself but to your opponent, because he's putting himself through it as well. So, in my opinion, that's your only job. Make that weight, and then you go in there and fight. That's all you've got to do.
that's very true.
That's my opinion on it, anyway.
I love that mentality. Is that something that's always been sort of instilled in yourself, or is it something that's maybe built over time? Because I really do like that mentality.
Well, it's more of as I've grown into the sport and I'm learning a lot more. And I mean, I've always been quite respectful to my coaches, opponents. I'm not a shit talker and stuff like that. I like the old way of martial arts. I like that respectfulness and just being proper about everything. So, like I say, to me, that is your only job. You turn up, you make weight, and then you fight each other. Now, don't let your coaches down by missing weight. Don't let yourself down, especially don't let a guy down who you don't even know. Like, don't show that disrespect to somebody like that.
Yeah, that is honestly a great mentality. With your recent fights, I watched all your fights yesterday and the day before. With your recent fights, I noticed that a big change in sort of the calculation of your shots and how much more calculated. It seems like you have more of a game plan now recently. Is that something fair to say you've worked on that I'm looking at there?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's just maturity. I've come to realise a lot of things on how the sport works, and yeah, when I first went in there, I was a bit of a banger. I'll just try and swing. Whereas now, yeah, I'm a bit more calculated. I know I don't need to do that. I don't need to take unnecessary damage. If I can pop in and out and crack somebody without taking a shot, I'm going to do it. Any day of the week, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to your podcast with Dan Lester on the fisticuffs as well. And there was a bit in there that I wanted to just talk about as well. When you talk about your anxiety as well, going into the cage and being anxious and sort of fighting in front of the crowd and that going away. How did that go away, and how did you sort of get used to that and overcome that?
I mean, I try and do a lot of work outside of the gym. Like, I have been trying to work on the mental aspect. I've been doing a lot of reading about it and studying, and it's just becoming, it's same with anything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So obviously before COVID, and I went on, I think I had 3 fights that year. I was supposed to be 4, but I ended up having 3. And the first time I did it, I was shitting it because I'd not fought for a long time. But then it just got easier. Now, I still get anxious, but I'm better at controlling it. I know what I've got to do. I know I've got to walk out. I've got to get the people to put Vaseline on me. I've got to go through everything. So I know what's happening. So in my mind, I'm in control in a way, if that makes sense. So that's what anxiety is. It's you worry about things you can't control. It's weird.
Yeah, I fully get that.
But yeah, but I can kind of calm myself down.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Also on the podcast, you mentioned about, which I thought was another interesting point, taking notepad to train and noting down a lot of details and stuff. I wanted us to hear the benefits from yourself you get from that, and maybe some of the improvements it's give you, because I really like that idea.
Well, it started. I actually seen one of my teammates doing it a couple of years ago, and I thought, once we got back after COVID and I weren't quite as sharp, I thought, right, I'll start writing a few things down so I know in the next session I need to work on this. So I put a notepad in my bag, and then when I get back to the car, I scribble a couple of things down. So, example, when I first went back sparring, when you've not been it for a while, you're a bit flinchy and you're not doing everything you should be. So I'd write down, use more feints, more head movement, blah, blah, blah. So then the next time I go in, I'll have a quick read of that before I get in my car, read it, try and implement it in the gym. And because it's already in my head and I'm focusing on that, you get what I mean? So you're channeling your energy on that certain aspect, that getting that 1% better instead of trying to go in there and fucking float about like Conor McGregor or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the fine details. And I've actually seen it, one of your teammates, Jordan Coco, do a podcast with Fisticuffs. And he referred to you as George St. Pierre. He reminded you of Joseph Pierre. And you know, when I hear you talk and I hear you explain these sort of things, I actually sort of agree, because you do have these sort of finer details, and like you care about that 1%, and it really is inspiring to see, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
And just with obviously Resurrection, we spoke a little bit off camera about it. The new gym obviously went from Tap and Snap originally, now to Resurrection. Talk to me about the facility you've got there and the benefits of you now going professional, having that facility to your hands.
Well, I mean, it's got everything you need in a gym. Because I mean, the gyms we've been at the past, don't get me wrong, they're great, but they're quite small. You're quite limited. So now we've got like a proper strength and conditioning bit. We've got bigger matting, which means more people to come and train, which means more partners. We've got bags everywhere. We've got running machines, rowing machines, proper weight facility. It's got everything, mate. Anything you need for an MMA gym and to get ready for a fight, it's there. So I can be let loose on anything now. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it looks it, to be fair. Your last fight on Battle Arena against Antonio Lusa, a very high level guy, very tough opponent. Back in November 2019, obviously you captured the bantamweight belt. Talking about the feeling of that, and because getting a belt in amateur is very hard these days, because the level of amateur is just so high at the minute. It's incredible. So talking about the feeling of capturing a belt at amateur and getting that victory over Antonio.
I said it in my last podcast, and I've said it a few times. It was good. Don't get me wrong, it felt really good, but I still stand by my biggest achievement is I had like a bit of a mental breakdown, which is why I stopped fighting, because I just needed to get my life in order. So my biggest achievement was coming back from that to just coming back fighting, because I didn't even think I was going to fight again or train again. So I'm probably selling myself short, but I don't really recognise it as a big achievement to myself. Because, yeah, I felt great on the night, but, you know, when I woke up the next morning, it was like, oh, I thought I meant to feel a bit different to this. But no, I just feel the same. I've just got a belt. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not you say that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the fight as well. Like Antonio, like I say, he's a good fighter. He's tough. I really enjoyed the fight. I'd love to maybe fight him again one day, because I know he's talking about going pro. But I really enjoyed that fight. I thought the styles just made the fight.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was a good fight. I remember seeing Tyson Fury after he beat Klitschko, and him saying that he thought it would feel different, and it's like, what do I do now? Was that the same feeling for you when you obviously talk about you wouldn't come back? Was that the period you're talking about after that fight? You thought you probably won't fight again? Was that where the sort of mental thing was?
After the loss I had against Max. I had a lot of things going on in the background, like with family and everything. And that's when I actually got diagnosed with my anxiety disorder. So I had a lot going off in my head where I didn't want to train. Training's always been my outlet, but I got that bad I just didn't even want to train. But no, after the Luca fight, I felt like, yeah, what do I do now? But then I thought, well, there's more belts to go after. I'll try and get some of them. But then obviously COVID hit. And I thought, you know what, I won't mind just going pro. I'll just go for it. Because I'm only talking about having one more anyway. One, maybe two more fights at amateur. So dropped my coach a message, and I was sat there all anxious, thinking, "Oh, what's he gonna say?" And then instantly, he just put, "Yeah, go for it. I'm behind you. I'm behind you all the way." So, and when my coach said something like that, I know he means it.
Yeah.
It won't blow smoke up my arse. If I'm ready, I'm ready. So I'm pretty confident that.
Yeah, I definitely think you are. Just with, before we go back to that in a minute, just with like sort of bringing you back into MMA, how did you find yourself back in then? Obviously, having all them struggles and stuff. How did you find your way back to MMA and the love for it again?
I realised I could have a future in it. Like I was getting good in a short space of time. Everything was clicking, and having that time off, it rejuvenated me a bit, because when I came back, I was even better. When I came back, because I was fresh, I came back with an empty mind. Just that I wanted to learn everything, and everything just started clicking. Like literally everything, I was getting better day by day. And that's when it was like, yeah, I've got a future in this. I'm going to stick to this now. And I've not stopped since.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to you managed to get back in it, because, like I say, you're a great fighter and you had some great fights, and looking forward to the professional ranks.
No, thank you.
With lockdown, you obviously mentioned lockdown sort of stuck in the mud really for most fights. You couldn't get fights, limited shows. I think maybe 2 shows there was last year overall that people could get on. How did you handle lockdown as such, within training and staying healthy and staying active?
Well, I mean, I ended up being off work for 16 weeks, something like that. So I had plenty of time to train. I weren't going to burn myself out doing it, because if I woke up one day and I thought, oh, I'm going to lift some weights today, I'll do that. Or I'm going to run today. You know what I mean? So I just felt whatever my body felt like doing, I'd do it. There was no pressure on turning up thinking, oh, I've got to spar today, or I've got to do this. And I did a lot more studying on fights. I watched a lot more tape and picked up little things, and tried breaking down fights myself and trying to find just doing things I wouldn't normally have time to do. And yeah, it's paid off. Like, I've noticed some of the things that I have picked out from different fights as I've tried, and it's working. So yeah, just little things like that, mate. It kept me ticking over. Obviously, I weren't motivated at times, because what were going off? Everybody felt like that at some point. But then as soon as the gym opened back up, I were chomping at the bit to get back in. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think lockdown 1 for me was very big for a lot of people's fitness. I think you've seen a lot of people, didn't you, getting out running on the bike. Me especially, I'm generally pretty lazy. I go to the gym and stuff, but like I was out running and biking. I think it did help a lot of people's fitness, didn't it, lockdown 1?
I mean, as silly as it sounds, I actually found it quite inspiring as well. Because, I mean, obviously not what's going off. In an ideal world, you wouldn't want it to happen. But you were seeing, not to be horrible, you were seeing some pretty out of shape people now taking to the streets, going out running and getting healthy. I thought it was brilliant. Like I'd go out shopping or something, and I'd be driving and I'd see like 10 or 15 different people running each day, and it was like, this is good. Like, I like that.
Definitely, it was incredible. Obviously, the circumstances wasn't great, but I mean, the fact that people took their own initiatives and did fitness was really good. Onto like the professional scene now. Obviously, your next professional fight is 24th of July. How much of a transition or impact do you think the rule changes in professional are going to be, sort of introducing the elbows and the 5-minute rounds for yourself?
Well, obviously, you're going to have to. There's a lot more to think about now. You've got a lot more different weapons to contend with. Like, if you get taken down off cage and you're coming back up, you've got to look out for knees. You've got to. But I mean, I've always looked for those little things anyway, because I've always had in my head that I was going to turn pro. So I've always. I mean, it were a few weeks back. I were only grappling with one of the coaches. I threw an elbow just instinctively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The 5-minute rounds, I'm not too phased with. I mean, I'm pretty fit. Like I've always had decent cardio, so I'm just looking forward to it, mate. I can't wait now.
I can tell. I can tell. Just before we go on to that a little bit more, there was a line as well I picked up from what you said about lockdown was that you watched a lot of tape. I'm interested to know, do you watch any tape on like fellow bantamweight amateurs that you may come up against, or professional bantamweights that you see yourself coming up against in the future?
I've watched a bit, yeah, because like you say, I believe myself, and I know I'm going to keep climbing through them ranks. So when I first came back, I'd already watched a few Antonio fights because I knew he was up there. He's always been up there. He's had a belt. He's a well-established amateur fighter. So I always knew I'd probably get a chance to fight him. So yeah, if I see somebody, I'll keep them on my radar a bit, and I will watch a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you've got to study it.
Yeah, that's very smart. With the fight camp style, will there be a big change, do you think, in sort of how it goes, the fight camp style compared to amateur now, going professional in terms of intensity, maybe different working different things, approach to different things?
Yeah, right. Naturally, the intensity will fly up. But I mean, I'm training pretty hard now. Like I'm only just 8 weeks out today, and I'm training pretty well now. I'm getting, like I said at the beginning, I'm getting plenty of sparring, plenty of rolling, plenty of technique. So as the camp progresses, obviously that's when I'll start adding more of the fitness and conditioning side into it. I mean, I've already Saturday mornings I'll go and do like a conditioning class, and my coach has already started beasting me on them, like to the point where I can't even stand up at the end.
Yeah.
But naturally, as I get fitter, he's just going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. So, yeah, the intensity will just get put up, mate. But it's nothing I'm not prepared to do.
Yeah, 100%. What is your take on sparring, like sort of hard sparring and such? Because I see a lot of these fighters coming out nowadays and saying they don't want to spar that much. They don't want to hard spar as much anymore. What is your take on it as a fighter?
Personally, I like the idea of play sparring. I do like doing it because you can see things a bit clearer, and that's when you can work on everything. You still do need an element of harder sparring. I mean, not to the point where you're killing each other, but you need to put that intent in, and the speed and the tenacity. You need to put that in. But you'll notice a lot of these fighters who are saying it, they've been in the sport 10, 15 years. They already know how to fight. So there's no need to be taking them shots. I mean, I hope amateurs who are just coming into it now thinking, oh, well, if Max Holloway spars, I don't need to spar. You know what I mean? When you're first coming up, of course you need to spar. You need to practice what you're learning. I still need to spar. Even though I've been doing it 6 years, I still need to do it. But obviously, as time gets on, then I might not have to hard spar, depending how much damage I take in fights. I mean, luckily, I've never really took damage. I've never had, in a fight, I've never really been rocked. Really. Yeah. I've never really, I mean, in my last 3 fights, I think I've been hit clean once. Do you know what I mean? So it all depends. It all depends.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like I say, it depends on the style of fight. I mean, someone like, I'm not going to try to advise Justin Gaethje, but someone like Justin Gaethje gets in these big wars and stuff, and always puts his head on the line. You'd hope, and you'd think he doesn't spar as hard or as much when he's back training in Denver.
Yeah, you'd hope so, but Justin Gaethje being Justin Gaethje, I imagine he's warring at least 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, probably. More or less all your fights have been on the Battle Arena show, and I'm really new to it. I only found out about it the beginning of this year, end of last year. Talk to me, is that your home, would you say, for fighting for the foreseeable future? And talk to me how good they've been to you as well, Battle Arena.
I really like the setup at Battle Arena. It's very professional. I mean, James Price, the promoter, I get on with James. Like, he's a decent guy. There's a lot of good fighters coming from there. I mean, I think they are Europe's biggest amateur organisation. I mean, what they've done from building from the ground up to now, they're putting on the 24th that I'm fighting on. That's the very first, I believe, full pro card. You know what I mean? I mean, I think there is amateurs on the undercard, but they're actually in a full card of professional fighters. So from where they've gone to where they're at now, I'm quite happy to be part of that. I think it's good. It's a good promotion to fight for.
Definitely, especially with the Sky deal as well, and obviously the European deals with other countries. I mean, it's a good platform for yourself. It's a really good flex in a way.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course it is. I mean, I think I've already been on Norwegian telly. I mean, I've not got that obviously, but I think I've been on telly already. So yeah, it's good.
That's brilliant. So obviously, 24th of July. I don't want to botch his name. Endu Lucia, I think his name is. Probably botched that
I
completely.
think you pronounce it Noah Leshy.
Noah Leshy. So apologies, Noah. Noah Leshy. Talk to me how you see you having the advantage in that fight and his skills that you've seen.
He's a, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter. He's a very good grappler. He's got that walk forward style, pressure you. I just need to use my movement because I can move on my feet. I'm quite light on my feet. I can really pop shots when I'm moving. So, I mean, I'm not afraid to grapple with him, not in the slightest. Like I believe in my grappling. Um, so I think I've just got to be smart, mate. I just can't get into a war. That's not my style anymore. I just can't walk unless shit hits the fan. Then I will walk. But
Yeah, if
no.
all goes wrong.
Yeah.
Sponsorships. Any sponsorship you like to thank or give a shout out to for helping you out?
Yeah, I've got Lawless Few, Dan Last. He reached out to me. He was my very first sponsor, his clothing brand. So if anyone wants to check out some decent clothing, go to Lawless Few Clothing. I've got an old training partner, Kyle Ellis. He's got his own, he's a mechanic, Kyle's automotive repair. I've got R&R Shot Blasting. He's, again, former, well, I say former, he's actually back training with us now. I've got Virtus Traffic Management, New Sears. He, again, training partner. He does all the fitness side with me. Cracking bloke. So yeah, I've got plenty of sponsors coming on board, mate, helping me out, and I'm very grateful for it.
That's brilliant. Love to see these companies helping out the young regional fighters. So it's great to see. Any coaches, training partners you like to thank as well?
Literally, anybody at that club who I train with makes me better. I mean, I've got my head coach Christian Smith, former professional cage race champion, first degree black belt. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in good hands with Christian. I've got Tim Butler, purple belt in jiu-jitsu, brilliant grappling coach. Ben Dennis, former Battle Arena champion, good striking coach. Dave Morris, he's been about the sport for years. Paul Morley, again, good grappler. And then I've got good teammates as well. I've got Bart Ivania, Corey Harris, Dorian. I'll butcher his last name, so I'll just say Dorian. But he's fighting on the show as well with me. If you want to check him out, mate, I've got it good there. I'm in good hands there.
Definitely sounds like it. Definitely looks like it. The proof's in the pudding as well. Finally, fight prediction for your fight on the 24th.
One of us is getting finished. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to get this Mystic Mac. I'll knock him out in the first round. But one of us is getting finished.
I like that. Well, Jay, it's been an absolute honour. It's great to finally meet you as well. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me on. It would.
No worries. It's been great to learn your story. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, mate. Enjoyed that.